Alright guys, how's it going? Welcome back. Well, we're currently down in the lovely village of Castlecombe in Wiltshire on a beautiful wet day. We were down here doing some filming and I've just been offered what could be the perfect camera car. You know, I said in my Discovery 3 video recently that might be the perfect camera car. Well, that wasn't the answer really. The car I've been offered is a BMW X5 from 2007. So importantly, it's a 7-seater, which is exactly what I need. It's got the split tailgate, which is another thing that I needed. And it's a 3-litre diesel, so it should be quite economical. And I think, I don't want to sound a bit naive here, but I think it should be a bit more reliable than the Discovery 3. The car's about 2 hours from here, further down south, and we've got a bit of a storm coming, and it's heading to the southwest, so I think we're going to be driving right into the eye of it. But we're not made of chocolate, are we? Can survive a bit of rain. The guy said he only wants £2,000 for this X5, so it sounds quite cheap. The cheapest on the internet I've seen starts at around £5,000, so I'm a little bit wary. He says it's alright though. He's had the EGR blanked off and remapped or whatever. It's done around 150,000 miles and he's had it for about 8 years and it's just been the family car really. He said that he's looked after it quite well, so we'll go and see, shall we? What a horrible day it is today. Anyway, we're about an hour and 45 minutes away from the X5. And you might think this is a bit of a waste of time and money really, buying a car specifically to use as a camera car. But I've thought long and hard about this and I actually think it'll be really useful. I'm always trying to improve the quality of these videos, and I think with the addition of a vehicle like this, things will go up a notch. Do you remember when you'd watch an old Top Gear episode from a few years ago? They'd always use L322 Range Rovers as tracking cars. There'd always be somebody, usually a couple of people, in the boot of the L322 with the top part of the tailgate open. They'd stick the camera gear out of the boot to get some really nice shots. And that's the sort of thing I'm looking for. For many years now I've just used a GoPro stuck to the boot of the car in front, and that's alright, but it does limit the kind of shots you can get. This should be a bit more versatile. Originally I was looking for a cheap Land Rover Discovery because that has the split folding tailgate and crucially it's got 7 seats, or a lot of them do anyway. And that means one of my colleagues can sit back there on the 6th or 7th seat, buckled in all safe, and just tilt and turn the camera whilst getting the shots. Without those 2 rear seats back there, I'm not sure the legality of it all. It's fine for the BBC, I'm sure, with multi-million pound budgets, but for little old me, we've got to be a little bit more careful. So that's what I'm thinking, and that should be the easiest way to get these kinds of shots without applying for silly permits and all that sort of stuff. This is safe and legal. We're filming much more content now out on the roads. We're doing 3 videos a week, which takes quite a lot of work. So it's always a bit of a stress making sure we've got an additional car to use to throw all our luggage in and use as a camera car. But this, if we use this specifically for this job, well not this, but the X5, then we don't need to worry anymore. It just makes my life a little bit easier. Plus this era of X5, known as the 70, which ran from 2007, they're quite reliable. I don't want to speak too soon, but they are generally not too bad. The engine and gearboxes are okay, they haven't got complicated air suspension which always fails, and crucially it's 4-wheel drive, so if we do end up in the Alps or in the Arctic Circle with a decent set of tyres, then it should get us out of some bother. Before we get to the X5, I just want to say a big thank you to today's video sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by Athletic Greens. This is something that's slotted nicely into my daily routine and it's genuinely been a game changer for me. I've been drinking a glass every morning. It provides you with everything your body could possibly need for a busy day ahead. It isn't just a supplement, it's packed with 75 different vitamins, minerals and whole food sourced ingredients, such as prebiotics, probiotics, digestive enzymes and many more. I've been using them now for a few months and I can genuinely say it's made a big difference to my energy levels. I've even got a travel cup for days like this when I'm out on the go. I always seem to take on a little bit too much work-wise and I was starting to feel a bit run down. So that's when I started to look for something natural I could take to improve my energy. I keep some at home and I keep some in the office, and I've just found Athletic Greens gives me that boost I need to fight the day ahead. If you'd like to try this out for yourself, and I can wholeheartedly recommend it, you just need to go to drinkag1.com/High Peak Autos or click the link below in the video description. You'll not only receive the incredible Athletic Greens formula, but you'll also receive a year's supply of vitamin D and K2 and 5 AG1 travel packs absolutely free. That, by the way, is an exclusive offer for you guys. So give it a try. Elevate your health and your well-being. So don't forget, click the link below or visit drinkag1.com/High Peak Autos. And thanks Athletic Greens for sponsoring today's video. Right then, we better go and pick up this X5, hadn't we? Right, well here is my £2,000 BMW X5. I was going to show this to you yesterday, but by the time I got there, the storm, I can't remember the name of it, Kieran was it? Some sort of bad storm was bashing the southwest of the UK, so when I got there were wheelie bins on the side, roads were flooded, there were a couple of trees in the road, it wasn't great. So I thought rather than get completely soaked wet through, I thought I'd just jump in the car and drive it up north, and then I'd do this walk around bit when the weather got better. So here we are, 24 hours later, and it's finally stopped raining. Overall, I'm really pleased with the car. I think it's the best £2,000 I've spent in some time. Would you like a quick tour? Well, here it is then. It's a late 2007. It's an SE, not an M Sport, which is why it's got those tiny wheels on it. But I still think, I mean, it makes me feel a bit old this now, but I remember when they came out, and I think it still looks like quite a modern car, really. It could do with, you could probably finish this sentence for me, could do with some new reg plates, and it could do with the headlamps buffing. They're a bit cloudy. I think they'll come back though. They'll certainly improve anyway. Looks quite cool though, doesn't it? The previous owner told me a little bit about it. They'd owned it for about 8 years, him and his wife, and it had just been used as a family car. But anything it ever needed, it had. So for example, last year it had 4 brand new Goodyear tyres fitted. It had the gearbox serviced, it had the rear diff serviced, it's had regular oil changes. It's got both keys. Apart from it needing a very good clean, it's all pretty good. Let me show you around it then. So we've got a crack in the windscreen up there, which isn't the end of the world. It isn't even an MOT failure, that really. As it spreads, I think I'll have to replace it one of these days. We've got some damage here to this side step, but again, for what I'm going to use this car for, I'm not really that bothered. Round the back, we've got some damage here to the top of the tailgate. The towing eye cover's missing. But it's really not bad, is it, for a 16-year-old car? It looked better straight away with the proper clean. Some fresh reg plates, buff the headlamps, and then see how we get on. Moving inside, again, it just needs a very good clean. Because I put the previous owner on the spot a little bit, because I didn't give them much notice, they didn't have a chance to clean it and they were quite embarrassed. Which I told them not to be, because it really doesn't matter. I'm going to send it for a full valet anyway, so it didn't matter at all. But yeah, it is quite grubby. So we've got here, now I don't really do aftermarket stuff, but the previous owners replaced the sensor screen here with this aftermarket unit. And it all works all right. I think it's like an Android system, but someone's put like the BMW skin on it, so it looks kind of like it should be there. But it's a big spec as well, this. I've got head-up display, I've got electronically adjustable steering column here. We've done 149,000 miles. But yeah, you see that's just not quite right. But it still works, and it's got Apple CarPlay and Bluetooth and all that sort of stuff. The heated seats get nice and hot. It's not a bad thing, is it? It's even got this rear screen here, which I've never seen before. So back in its day, this must have been quite the car. We've also got xenon lights. Powerful mirrors. That's a little fault that I found. The SOS system is faulty. So SOS call system failure. I couldn't care less about that, to be honest. I filled up the tank when I was down somewhere near, I don't know, in between Southampton and Bournemouth, somewhere around that area. And I filled it with V-Power because I'm odd and I always preach that. I filled it with V-Power diesel and it took £145, so must be quite a big tank. But I've done, I don't even know how many miles I've done. We've been averaging 27.7 miles per gallon. So not too bad really, is it? Yeah, so we've got this screen system here, which kind of does look like the BMW system, doesn't it? I don't know whether you can see that. Can you see that? It's a bit dark, isn't it? Anyway, what else can I show you? Got a 6-disc changer there, and there is loads and loads of service history. I think it'll be perfect for what I need it for. I think I might replace those struts. yeah, ideal. Not much to see there then, is there really? Should we take it for a drive where it's a little bit warmer? Deal the old X5 out for a spin. Oh, I hate this barrier. That was close. I very nearly then had an impaled X5. In fact, let me just lose this body warmer. There's my old SOS with that worrying BMW bong of doom. I was really expecting this car to be clunky, loose. When I checked it out on Car Vertical, there were a few advisory items for the last few years with suspension components, bushes and things like that. So I thought every time you went over a bump in this, it would sound, you know, horrible sort of metal on metal knocking noise, but it's fine. It's actually really solid. I know I've mentioned this before, but I love this era of BMW. Everything's just really, really solid. It isn't the quickest thing in the world. I think it's 245 horsepower or something, but it's adequate. It's all right. The gearbox seems to work perfectly. In fact, everything I've tried works, which is quite unusual. You know, whenever I buy one of these cheap cars, especially one hundreds of miles from home, always in the back of my mind I think, there's a good chance that I won't make it home. I always think I'm going to end up on the hard shoulder of the M6 waiting for the AA to come and rescue me, but this wasn't the case. I've done about 300 miles in it now and it's been completely faultless. My heated seat, in fact, works a little bit too well. I paid just £2,000 for it because that's what the seller wanted for it. I'm sure I could have got one slightly cheaper if I'd gone to an auction or something, but you really don't know what you're buying. With this kind of thing, it was handy to chat to the previous owner while he told me what work he'd had done over the years. It's just a little bit of an insight into the car's history. But yeah, I haven't got a single warning light on. Everything's all right. I think the first job I'm going to do to it is run it down to my mechanics and leave it there for an oil and filter change. And I think I'll ask them to just check it over quickly, make sure everything's all right. Then I'll run it over to the lads at Tameside Valeting for a good clean, buff the headlamps, screw in some new reg plates, and then start using it for work. Let it pay for itself. Right then, I think that's all I can tell you for now, so let me catch up with you in a couple of days' time. See you then. And we're back in my £2,000 BMW X5, and I'm over the moon with it. After we last spoke, I took it down to my mechanics for an oil change and just a general check over. Before I did any serious miles on this, I just wanted to make sure that it was all alright. I was quietly optimistic though, because I'd already done a couple of hundred miles in it without a single problem. On the way to the mechanics, it was raining quite heavily, so I had my front wipers on full, and I tried to put the back wiper on. All of a sudden it got halfway, then stopped. Then I looked again and it just completely dropped. It was dangling down like a tail. So as I got there, I said, right, oil and filter, check it over, and 3 new wiper blades and a new rear wiper arm. I know it's quite a common fault with this era of X5. The bolt that holds it all together eventually goes rusty and the whole thing fails. Luckily, it isn't a big job, so I had that done. The very next day, my mechanic called me to say what a nice old car it was. They told me that the previous owner had obviously looked after it because there were a lot of new parts underneath. So at that point, I thought my theory was confirmed. This is a decent car. You really don't know what you're buying when you're buying a 16-year-old car for a couple of grand. It could go either way. So I just want to say a quick thank you to Nicola and Vaughan for getting in touch in the first place, and thanks for looking after your car so well. When it was done there, I took it over to the lads at Tameside Valeting. If you remember, it was quite grubby, so I left it there for a full valet, and I also asked them to clean and polish the headlamps. They'd completely clouded over and they were letting the car down, and I had my suspicions that with a good buff, they'd come back nice. The actual results were better than I expected. They now look like new. Then I got it back to work and fitted some new reg plates. I opted for an oversized rear, the same size as you'd find on a full-size Range Rover or Range Rover Sport, and I think it looks a whole lot better. I also decided to put my High Peak Autos plate on it. If you remember, this plate was on my 1995 SL320, but since that's now gone to its new home, I took the plate off that and put it on this. The good clean, the fresh private plates and the polished headlamps have really lifted this car. It's made a really big difference. Not that I'm out to impress anyone now, but this looks like a £10,000 car if this were to roll up, not a £2,000 one. I know it's just going to be used as a scruffy workhorse, but still, first impressions count, don't they? And now this is something that I'm actually quite proud of. In between all this, I ordered some brand new genuine BMW rubber mats for it, which you'll think I've lost the plot here when I tell you how much I paid for them. They cost me £90, 90. I know that's ridiculous and I could have found some cheaper ones, but they will help protect it. I think it's money well spent anyway, even if you disagree. You'll be pleased to hear too that this old X5 has already been earning its keep. Yesterday we went up to the Lake District to do an off-road video with my cheap Jeep Cherokee that I bought for just £500. Do you remember that car? Well, anyway, I kind of threatened that I might take it off-road, and yesterday we did. And this was the perfect camera car. It came in really handy. We just chucked everything in the back, used it to take shelter because the weather was horrendous, used it to get some good shots. So all in all, it's already paying for itself. And I don't want to speak too soon or anything, but I think this is £2,000 well spent. It should be, or it promises to be, a really decent workhorse. It drives really well, it's spacious and practical, and I've been getting the best part of 30 miles per gallon from it. I'm just hoping that if I continue to look after it properly, then there's no reason this shouldn't last me a good few years. And then I suppose if things are going alright, perhaps just replace it with a slightly newer one. That's it really. So I think that's about it. Thank you once again for watching. Don't forget to check out AG1, I'll leave the link below. And yeah, cheers guys, I'll see you next time.